On this video, we'll be dealing specifically with replacing the furnace board. The problem we're having specifically is the board supplies 120 volts to my blower motor, and I am not getting any voltage readings coming from my board, and this indicates that I have a faulty board that needs to be replaced. If you do have a problem with your blower motor, you can go to my channel, and I do have many videos showing you how to troubleshoot the blower motor. At this point, I know the board itself is going to be the problem, so I just want to deal specifically on replacing this board. I have the power supply off. Right now we need access to the board. There's going to be some screws on the inside that actually holds the board to the actual panel itself. So we're going to have to allow for our screwdriver to get inside of there so that we can remove those screws. The only way to do that is to remove this interior cover for our vent, as well as removing any screws that are secured here to the side. And every system is different, so the scope of work may vary depending on your specific model. Now we're removing the screws to the vent that goes to my furnace. Be careful when you're moving any piping. I just need enough so that I can remove the vent that's inside of the furnace itself. Here I have a screw that needs to be removed. Once I remove this screw, this will allow me to pull up my pipe. I have a screw in the back that needs to be removed. This is the same process that you would follow if you had to remove your blower motor. At this point, you just need enough access to pull the blower motor out. So you have just a screw here on the bottom, a screw on top. Once you remove those two screws, the blower motor will pull right out. At this point, to remove the board, you have two screws. You're going to have one here in the back, and you have one on the side. Once you remove those two screws, the board will actually drop. This is my new furnace board that we'll be installing. Pretty similar to what's inside of there. This is going to be my harness that I'm going to be using to allow everything to tie in. Seeing all of these wires can be a bit overwhelming, especially if this is your first time having to do this type of work. Just be confident right now. Don't allow all the wires to overwhelm you. What we're simply doing is we're going to take one lead off of the old board, and then we're going to connect it to the new board in the same exact lead where it reads. So this one right here reads SEC2. We're going to take that off and we're going to put it onto our new board where we have SEC2. So here on the new board, you can see right there next to my fuse on top, it says SC-2, SEC-1, and we're simply going to take the leads that we have and we're going to put it right in the same spot. Now we're going to remove the terminal for SEC2. Here on our new board, it's going to go to the terminal SEC2. Next terminal is SEC1. We're going to remove that, and here we have it on SEC1. Now both of these wires or these leads are coming from my transformer. On these next four wires next to my fuse, I have spare 1, spare 2, cool, and on the bottom right I have heat. So here we have the lead for spare 2, and right here on my board we put it on spare 2. Remove spare 1. Here on the new board we put it on spare 1. This is a red and a yellow, but these are both coming off of my blower motor. You see if I trace it, it traces all the way back to my blower motor. Now I'm removing the lead that comes for cool. Here on my board, you see it says cool and heat. So the one that's on cool, I plugged in. Now we're going to do heat. Here you can see I connected my wire to the heat terminal. Both of these wires are coming off from my blower as well. Now, if you look at our board, we have all of these white wires that are tied into the board. These are all going to be our neutral wires. If you look at the new board, you can see there it says neutral, and then you have 6 leads. They're all inside of the box. Just make sure, you see here it says blower. The neutral coming from your blower needs to go in that terminal. So here, I trace my neutral, which is my white coming from my blower motor, and I can see right here, this is where it's tied in, so we're going to remove the neutral coming from my blower. And the terminal I removed that from on the neutral is the one that reads COM. Here I plugged in my neutral that goes from my blower motor where it says BLW, that's going to be blower, and this is all the neutral. Here I have my other neutral coming in. I traced this lead. This is actually going to go back to the back of my power supply. You can see there I tied it in with the rest of my neutrals. The last neutral that I have is going to be this white wire here, and this is going to come from my transformer. At this point I only have 2 leads left, except my low voltage and my harnesses. And you can see here I have PR1 and L1. Here I'm going to remove my lead from L1. When I trace L1, that's going to come back to my safety switch. So here's L1, and we're going to plug that in. Here we have our PR1 terminal. We're going to remove that. Now when you trace this one comes back from the transformer. Here's PR1 on our new board. So at this point, the only thing we have left is our low voltage and our harnesses tying into the old board. And what we're going to do now is we're going to start tying our harnesses into our new board. Now again, this portion may change depending on your specific model layout. Right now, I can see on my board, I only have one place for me to plug in this harness that came in the packaging. This is the packaging right here. So we're going to plug this end into our new board. So here we plugged in our harness to our new board, and obviously you can see here, if I look at my old board, there's only one harness that matches this new harness. So here we're going to disconnect our old harness. Basically you have these 2 pull clips, just push them in and pull out. We're going to take our harness that was on our old board, our new harness that's on our new board, and we're just basically going to tie them in. At this point, we only have 3 ends of the harness left. On the old board, we only have 2. Here, these are going to be our 2 that are going to match our old board. On the bottom, we have 1 that's going to plug in, as well as 2 neutrals. One place for this end to go in, which is right here, and basically just push that in. Now we have our 2 neutrals, so we need to tie both of our neutrals back into our new board in the back where it said neutral. These are both our ends right here, and I put them in the area where it says neutral. So here I have 2 clips left. We're going to remove the top one. This is the 2 that are coming from my new board. Obviously, these 2 tie in. Now we're going to remove our last clip on our board. This is the last clip from my harness that came on my new board. And we're going to tie them in. The only thing left on our old board at this point is going to be our low voltage wiring. At this point, we're just going to focus on our low voltage. Here, we're going to remove our terminal that ties into our G on the board. And here, we put it and tied in our lead on our new board. Next, we're doing our R terminal. Here, we tied in our R terminal. Next, we have our common terminal. Here, we tied into our common terminal. On our old board, remove the W terminal. We put our lead on our W terminal. Lastly, on the low voltage, we have our Y terminal. Once you remove that, you should be able to pull the board away. Here we tied in our Y leads to our Y terminal on our new board. Here's our old board. Just make sure that you go ahead and mark it or discard it. At this point, once you have your new board in, just go through every terminal and push them down. Make sure that they are nice and secure. Go ahead and resecure your board to your furnace. We're going to start reassembling our panel and our vent pipe. At this point, everything's been reassembled. I put electrical tape here on the safety kill switch, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in my system. Remember, initially the problem that I was having was the blower motor wouldn't turn on. The board wasn't allowing the 120 volts to send to my blower motor. So right now I do have my thermostat set to auto cool. I did lower the temperature, and now we're going to plug it in and see if it turns on. If this video was a help, if it was informational, please subscribe.